Christopher Bell is a professional race car driver. That's pretty much all he's ever wanted to be. Sure, the son of the Sooner State currently does race on Sunday afternoons in the NASCAR Cup Series. But growing up racing micros and midgets all across Oklahoma, all that Bell was ever worried about was becoming a full-time, paid race car driver. And that's exactly what he is. And that's exactly what he's been ever since he was 15 years old when he got his first paycheck to drive a micro sprint. Bell has made it to where he is today the same way that everybody who I talk to on the couch has. Lots of hard work, serious determination, a lot more hard work, and the theme of this show, the love and generosity of some strangers who became so much more than just friends. From having to keep the noise down while logging laps on R Factor inside the rarely used computer room of the Ohio Traveler, to getting comfy down in Columbus, living a lavish life on the lake, to having the air conditioning turned off on him while sleeping, staying inside a place called the Pimp Palace, Bell is living life and enjoying a career today that, in his own words, has been built off of people. Now, to tell us about the couches that made him, Christopher Bell.
We'll get started. First of all, this place is sweet. Hashtag the Wi-Fi network name, Storage Suites. But tell me, where are we? Just, little 30, 45 seconds on this place. Where are we?
Yeah, so we're in Hyde Park, in Cornelius, North Carolina. It's just a big group of buildings that are storage units, and we joke around, we call it the storage unit, but obviously some of them are finished off, and I got really fortunate to find this one. Old J40 in Hyde Park is it's turned out to be quite the gathering spot for me and my friends, that whenever we do racing, we got a shop down there, which I've had micros and midgets, and my father-in-law's got a sprint car down there right now. So it's just been a really, really cool find, and spent a lot of time in here.
Dude, I was going to say, it's impressive, and I don't know how this will come off not corny, but I'm just going to say it. I love the mementos, right? Because you obviously live a very cool life. You've done lots of cool things. And not that there's a lot of guys out there that don't care or they don't keep things because they don't care, but you do. And I can tell by the different photos and the different things that you have in here. And it's not just trophies. It's lots of pictures of you with people that are important to you. I can tell already, if I never even met you before, that you love what you do and you are grateful for what you do, and it shows on the walls of this place.
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up, because as a kid growing up, I had a million more trophies that I didn't keep and I just gave away, and then I don't know, whenever I started racing, I guess professionally, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna start keeping all of my trophies, and I'm super grateful that I did, because trophies that didn't mean a lot back then, they mean a lot now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, the more recent ones, you back behind you got more of the NASCAR stuff. That same thing, like in the current today, they don't mean as much, but 10 years from now, 20 years from now, they're going to mean more. So,
oh yeah.
It's been really cool. Like that steering wheel right there, that was my first ever steering wheel from micro sprints, and it lasted me from whenever I was 10 years old in a micro all the way until I think it broke in 2014. Yeah.
That's something, I wasn't born and raised in dirt racing. I came more from the pavement and the road course world specifically, but you learn, Rico, I think, has used the same steering wheel.
He has.
Pretty much his whole career, which is crazy. But, everything, man, from the pressed checkered flags in the frames. And again, the thing that really stood out to me as I was in here setting up was the photos of people that maybe aren't even, they're at racetracks, but whether you're at a racetrack or not, you'd want to be in photos with these people, and you can tell that they mean a lot to you. And I just think that's so cool that this place is kind of a little bit of a shrine to that.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, the people that are in these photos, and some of them maybe are in or are not in these photos. That's the point of what I kind of told you this is all about, and I appreciate you taking the time. But the poorly inflated couch you're sitting on is just a metaphor for the people who have helped you, who have helped everybody who sat on this thing, who have helped me. The couch is just a metaphor. So, I just want to jump into it if you're cool. And I want to start talking about those people, because you've got not like a 10-page long list of people that put you up, but you've got a few names on there that are very, very important to you. And that's the thing that was expressed to me through conversations with all of them, was the term "he's family" showed up with everybody I spoke to. So we'll just start, and at least the way I understand it is you start racing and you're growing up in Oklahoma, and I think your parents had to bribe you to run your first race because you said you wanted to do it, but then you got nervous, right? And you weren't sure about it when you got to your first race. Is that correct?
Yeah, did I tell you that?
No, you didn't.
Who told you that?
Dude, we do our research here.
I'm blown away. But seriously, who told you that?
You know, we can get into that later.
Okay, but
We do our research.
yes, yeah, that is literally exactly how it started. And going back to what you said, my whole career is literally built off of people. It's
Yep.
built off of people, and the list is probably, I don't know, more than 5, less than 10. And if you take out any one of those people, then I don't end up where I am today. And yeah, it is it's unbelievable how every single one of those key individuals believed in me, and they poured their heart, their life into me, and loved me, and gave me the opportunity that led to the next one. And yeah, it all started with a bribe from my mom for sure.
Well, it's funny. I've done a few of these now, and I don't know what order they'll come out in, but I've kind of neglected talking about the parents of all of everybody that sat on this couch. And it's not because the parents aren't important, but the theme of the show is like, oh, you go off on your own and you got to stay with people. Maybe you've known them for long. Maybe you don't know them till the day you pull into their driveway, but they help you out with putting you up. But quickly, because you're nowhere without the kickstart, the help out the door of your parents. So tell me, they're the only people that I really don't know a lot about in this whole story of yours. Tell me about your parents. How did they set you up for this path you've ended up walking?
Yeah, so it really started with my dad's best friend. His name is Will Orr, and I call him Uncle Will. I grew up with Uncle Will and Uncle Will's family. His son Daniel Orr used to run micro sprints there in Oklahoma. My family was not into racing at all,
Hmm.
so there was no like. I went to the races with Uncle Will and Daniel, and watched them and fell in love with it whenever I was, I don't know, 3 or 4. And then Uncle Will got me in a go-kart out at his house whenever I must have been 5, and I enjoyed it, liked it. And Uncle Will was like, "Hey, David's my dad. David, do you want to, try and see if Christopher wants to race?"
Yeah.
And my dad is like, "Well, sure. I don't really know how. How do we do this?" And then Uncle Will kind of, he's into micro sprints. He was into the scene. He contacted one of his friends that had a junior sprint, and we got it set up. And literally, I don't remember if we rented the car, if they just brought the car out, but we went go out to I-44 Speedway in Oklahoma City. I was 5 years old at the time, and I said they had to like borrow a suit. We had to go scrounge and get gloves and shoes and a helmet, and a lot of effort to go hot lap this junior sprint, right?
Right.
And we show up, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. This is too scary.
Right.
This is too much.
Was that hot lapping it for the first time, or actually
No, hot
competing
lapping it,
Okay,
just
got it.
driving it.
Got it.
Yes, literally just driving it. I said, this is too much, too scary. I don't want to do this. And my mom was like, you have to do this. Like, all of these people brought the car here. You're borrowing this guy's suit, blah, blah, blah. They opened the track up for you. I'm the only guy here. You have to drive this car. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. She goes, okay, well, I'll get you a video game. I'll get you a Nintendo 64 video game, if you just give it a shot. And once I got in the car, yeah, I go out there, and the rest is history, man. I loved it. Like, I went out there, started making laps, and then it was just off to the races. Let me back in, let me back in. So
Damn, that's huge. Okay, two things jump out about that. One, a very unserious thing, but I have to just ask, what was the game?
probably, I don't know. I think I was into like Zelda, or Zelda was a Nintendo 64 game, right?
I don't know, man. We can edit that out if you don't want to
I
let
think
people know that you liked Zelda. I mean, that's up to you.
I don't remember. Whatever you play on Nintendo 64, I don't remember. For some reason, Zelda's in my head. But
Okay. I mean, that's like I said, that was the unserious. Like that just was kind of funny. I had to know. But now this is like the deep cut here. But like it sounds like from the very get go, your career, which you didn't even know was going to be a career at this age, is all of a sudden got a pretty heavy dose of there's people helping you, and you kind of have to. You're carrying them on your shoulders, and at that very young age, it was never meant to be that heavy. But like from right out of the gate, your mom's like, there's people here who have gone out of their way. They've helped you. They've done things. We've spent money, and now it's up to you. Do you still feel that weight today?
Y- I don't really. It's funny you bring that up because throughout my career, I never really felt that except for one time. And that one time that I felt I obviously have had it my entire career, but
Mm-hmm.
the one time that it hit me the hardest was right before my first Daytona 500 for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had DeWalt as the primary sponsor that year at Daytona. And they're like, our sponsor rep, his name's Tony Merritt. He's like, hey man, I want you to call I don't remember if it was CEO or the head guy at Stanley Black and Decker,
Right.
and I want you to tell him that, like, hey, this is Christopher Bell. I'm driving your car, the Daytona 500. Come watch me or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was the most nerve-wracking phone call I've ever had to do in my entire life. I called this guy, and thankfully he didn't answer. I was so happy he didn't answer, but I left a voicemail like, hey, this is Christopher Bell. Tony Merritt gave you your phone number. I'm driving your car in the Daytona 500. And then it hit me. I'm like, holy smokes! Like I got this multi-million-dollar brand sponsoring a multi-million-dollar car at Joe Gibbs Racing for the Daytona 500, and that actually like hit me like, wow, like I have a bunch of a bunch of money and people and expectation,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it was that single moment that really hit me, but yeah, absolutely.
I can't imagine what that would be like. I've had those phone calls too where you're like, please God, go to voicemail. Do not answer this call.
Yes, that was me for sure.
But your parents away from the racetrack, hardworking, I would have to imagine that they are very polite, very kind people, because everything that I have learned about you in preparing for this is that everybody who put you up, everybody who invited you into their home once you left your parents' home to go racing, everybody says the same thing. Super nice, super polite, super friendly guy in Christopher Bell. So your parents must have done a very good job at a young age, I presume, of instilling that kind of attitude into you.
Yeah, I mean, clearly that's for them to say, not me, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm super thankful that to hear that, and obviously, I'm proud of my parents and love them to death, and they, yeah, it's, we the Bell family come from very humble beginnings, and it's just, I've been using this term lately of I won the lottery to be
Mm-hmm.
in this position that I'm in, and I literally have, like that's what, 1 in a million chances, and that's how I feel. I'm the most blessed person in the world to be in this position, and it makes me happy that people think that I'm respectful.
They all have again, so many of these calls have gone the same way, at least at the start, and then everybody branches off into their own stories and descriptions about you. So let's start with what I understand is the first place you go once you begin to branch out and leave Oklahoma to go racing, and that's with Rick and Kathy Ferkel.
Yeah, so I do have one more, man, probably two, it that we can't really leave out of this story.
Please.
Yeah, so it's Uncle Will. He was my first stepping stone,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was Darren Rustin,
Oh, okay.
and he was stepping stone number two, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I gave you Kathy's number for Ferkel, and then it went really Uncle Will, Darren Rustin, Ferkel, then Pete Willoughby.
Well, let's definitely not skip over them because I'm going to kind of go through the three big names that you shared with me. But let's start with those two guys. Uh, the gist of this deal is like, what did you learn? How did you grow? Not just as a race car driver, really not at all as a race car driver. I don't really care about you, the race car driver. I care about you, the guy, because that's what's important at the end of the day, right? Because you're not always going to be a race car driver, but you're always going to be the respectful, nice Christopher Bell that these people tell me about. So with both Uncle Will and Darren, what were those days like? I mean, you went to the Ferkels pretty young, so if they were before the Ferkels, you had to be really young. So
Yeah.
what did you learn from those two guys?
Yeah, so Uncle Will, he was the one who got me started, right? My parents didn't know anything about motorsports. He was the one who showed us the ropes. He took care of my race cars all the way from whenever I started till I was probably 12, 13. And then he got out of the sport. He retired from his day job, and he let me and my parents go on our own for a period of time. So Uncle Will really got me into the sport of motorsports. Showed me, he made sure that I was always there working on the car. Like we had to be there to wash the car. I had to be there to help him work on it. And I absolutely hated it at the time as a 6, 7, or 8-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go wash a race car after you race it. You want to go play video games, go throw the football, go shoot a basketball, whatever. But Yeah, he really gave me the fundamentals of what it took, and to be invested in racing. And then after Uncle Will, you know, decided to retire and get out of racing, me and my dad and my mom went off on our own for a couple years, and Uncle Will really kept my equipment up. Like he knew what he was doing on the car. And then once he left, my equipment started to tank, right? Because me and my dad, like, we tried to retain as much as we could from Uncle Will, but
Right.
we just weren't. We didn't get it, right?
Well,
Like
and no racing background, as you
no
said.
racing background. So my favorite story is like me and my dad are and my mom, the three of us are running this race team of a micro sprint, right?
Right.
We literally do not have the single idea of like what it takes to do that. We didn't know I didn't even know setup existed. My dad didn't even know setup existed. Like
Just start it and go.
literally, like you roll the car out and it's like, oh, the tire's flat. Just pump some air in it, right? Like pump some air into it. Now it's inflated. Now
Who
we can
cares?
go.
Who
Like
cares how much is in it?
yes, and to this day, I think that was one of the biggest, um, successes that I've had is just focusing on me driving the car. And I get so frustrated with the kids nowadays that it's always, oh, the car's too loose, the car's too tight. Like whenever I was growing up, if I didn't win the race, it was on me. I
Mhm.
didn't win the race because I didn't drive good enough. Like literally, I tell you, we didn't even have a tire pressure gauge. Like, we just pumped air in the tire until it was inflated, and
Wow.
then you go out there and race, and if you get beat, well, clearly you might be getting beat because the setup's not right. But in my head, I just thought that I got outdrove.
Wow.
So yeah, it was through a couple of years of the equipment downgrading after Uncle Will, quit taking care of my cars.
Right.
And I remember like I would do okay, but I wouldn't win, right? So
Mhm.
I would be running, I would whatever run top five or showcase that I don't know. I was okay, and
Well,
my
you were getting
equipment,
better,
yeah, my
clearly.
my equipment was bad. And then it was Darren Ruston. So Darren Ruston hired me to drive his race cars whenever I was 15. So that period of time where Uncle Will quit me I think he quit or retired. He didn't quit me, but he retired. Whenever I was 13, like that 13, 14 years of me and my dad racing on our own. And then Darren, he had this super nice equipment, and his daughter Kinsey Ruston
Mhm.
was going to race dirt racing, and she was from Legend Cars, and she didn't really like the dirt racing. So then Darren's like, okay, well, I'm going to keep these dirt cars, and I'm going to get a kid to come drive it. And that kid was me.
And this is micro sprints.
These were micro sprints, yeah.
And how old are you?
15.
So you're getting hired. And I don't know much at all about micro sprints. I hope people from the Tulsa Shootout don't find this out, or they'll maybe not hire me anymore. But like micro sprints back then, I know the game's changed quite a bit with the money involved in it today. But like, were there a lot of hired micro sprint drivers when you were 15 years old?
In Oklahoma, there were some.
Okay.
It was a thing. It was not. It was pretty rare. Most people were just mom and pops
Yeah.
out there racing, but there were a couple rides out there, and certainly the Darren Ruston ride was earth-shattering news.
Mhm.
And you're gonna have to call Darren Ruston. You're gonna have to call Darren. I can't believe that I haven't given you his number yet, but you're gonna have to call Darren Ruston because
We should just patch him in right now. I can do that, but we won't do that right now.
yeah, so I went up and asked him for, I think it was like for an oil filter or something at a racetrack one time because mine had a hole in it, and he that's how he found out about, or that's how he knew about me,
Mhm.
and then he paid attention to me, and then he took a chance on me. He's like, hey, I want you to drive my race cars, and then I went from driving these turd box cars that had inflated tires to however many
Right.
air psi to driving these immaculate super nice race cars that at the time Darren Ruston, I think he had ownership in Sawyer Chassis.
Oh, okay.
So the setups of the cars were great,
Yeah.
and it was I think it was 2009 or 2010. 2009 or 2010 was the first year for Darren, and man, I just took off like wildfire. Like I was struggling driving my own equipment. The setup was terrible. The equipment was bad, and I get in this immaculate rocket ship,
Mhm.
and I just took off. Won a ton of races that year in micro sprints, running locally around Oklahoma, and then he got a midget. He's like, "Wow, this kid's good. Like
Mhm.
let's see what he can do in the Chili Bowl." And he took me to the Chili Bowl and got a midget, and then we started running some Power Eye races, and a couple USAC races, and then I'm sure you got the story of Granite City, right?
Of you and a midget at Granite City?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was running for Darren Rustin in the midget, and then we ended up parking beside KKM.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and
at-
that's kind of how Keith and Pete ended up
That's how
seeing you
Keith
for
and
the
Pete
first time.
found me. Yeah.
And Kyle came after you to KKM, yes?
He what?
Did Kyle come to KKM after you?
No, he was before me.
Okay, so would he have been racing with
He
them
was
at
racing.
Granite City? Okay.
Yes, he was racing at Granite City, and I think we ended up in like the same heat race or something. And I was parked beside them, and they're like, "Man, this kid looks like Jason Myers."
So I just got to go. I got to go back and ask you, like, when you talk about Darren giving you a chance, you say that the connection comes from you going up and asking for an oil filter.
Yeah.
But I mean, clearly there's something in the middle between that moment and him putting you in his race car. Just to make it blunt, why does he give you a chance?
He was looking for a driver, and I don't really know how it ended up being me. Clearly, somebody must have told him that, like, I think this Bell kid's pretty good. Like, he doesn't have much. They don't have much money. They don't have nice cars. But yeah, he was looking for a driver, and I don't know why, but it ended up being me.
Wow. Maybe someone had told him that you're out there driving with 25 pounds of air in the right rear and 7 in the left rear.
Yeah.
And he was able to see what you were doing with just that equipment and thought, wow, if he's doing it with that, maybe we should see what he can do in a well-prepared race car. But clearly it was more seriously probably just your reputation and the fact you were at all the races and he saw you and clearly saw something in you that he wanted to try.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to call him for sure, because I think he'll provide some really good insight into this. But.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Man, if I knew I'm supposed to be able to hotwire a phone call into this, but we don't have the time to figure that out, and I don't want to start sweating trying to think about how to work technology. So, man, I'll tell you what. Also, you mentioned 2 or 3 things in there that have come up already in learning about you from the other people whose houses and guest rooms and couches you end up occupying, and that's kind of again what this thing focuses on is. Uncle Will and Darren Rustin, they help you at the racetrack, but you really don't kind of end up staying or living or sleeping anywhere else.
That's right.
Until you end up going to the Ferkels, right?
Yep. I'm at home. I'm in Norman, driving for obviously my parents, and then Darren. I'm living in Norman, and then Ferkel's house was the first time I branched out and left home to go race professionally.
So, is there someone named Wade? Or maybe it's Wayne.
Wade.
Wade recommends you to Rick Ferkel.
Wade recommends me to Rick Ferkel.
But apparently, it starts out pretty treacherous. He tells Rick that you're an 18-year-old.
He tells Rick I'm 18.
And you're not 18.
I'm not 18.
How old were you?
I was 16. Yes.
Yeah, because you had to bring a power of attorney with you for the first 2 weeks. You stayed
Billy.
with him.
Yep, Billy Lawhead. We had to go get him like legally certified to sign for me. I think we gave Billy a power of attorney or whatever.
That's what Kathy said was you showed up, but also another guy showed up.
It was Billy.
And they're like, who's this? And they go, well, that's his power of attorney to sign him into the races and clear him. And that's when the Ferkels put together, you don't need a power of attorney if you're 18. How old are you?
Yeah.
So did Wade just not understand, or did he?
No, Wade knew that Rick wouldn't even consider me.
Wow.
Yeah, so Wade knew that Rick wouldn't even consider me. I didn't even know that, right? Like, so I show up at Rick's house. This was like literally Friday of race weekend, and I roll up to the driveway. The first thing out of his mouth, like not even like, "Hi, nice to meet you." He just, "You're not 18."
Oh no.
I'm like, I know, I'm not. Why?
Oh no.
He goes, I thought you were 18. I said, I never told you I was 18. So then, I'm sure he was sweating, trying to figure out like, what the heck am I gonna do?
Kathy tells it hilariously. She goes, Rick always believed Wade. She goes, I didn't always believe Wade. And she goes, so as soon as I heard 18, I was already kind of, nervous about it. But it's interesting that Wade does that, and it's, you could go down a whole rabbit hole. What happens if this Wade guy doesn't fib for you, right?
Yeah.
That's the politically correct way of saying lie to Rick Ferkel about your age. But if he knows that if he knows that Rick's not even going to consider you if you're under the age of 18, and to this point in that season, Rick already had 11 drivers in that car when he gets you.
And I think that was part of the reason why he gave me a shot, right? Because he was just going through driver after driver after driver with no success. And from what Rick told me, he was just like, all right, well, it can't be any worse than what we had. Send him up,
So
right?
it was out of desperation.
It was out of desperation, yes.
And was the first race at Wayne County?
Wayne County, Ohio.
And then where did you ran 2 weekends with him, I believe?
Yep.
Where
sure
was
did.
the second one? Do you remember?
We went to Wayne County, Attica, the first weekend.
Okay.
And then the second weekend, we went to Lernerville, Attica.
And this is in a winged 410?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it was in
And
a 410.
had you ever raced a 410 to that point?
I'd never driven a sprint car.
Jesus.
I'd never driven a sprint car. The only thing I'd driven was Darren Rustin's midget. So that was, yeah,
Wow. Was that like terrifying?
it was, dude. I remember at Wayne County, man. We go and we push off for engine heat, and I didn't even put my foot on the accelerator. Like, so we push
Yeah.
off for engine heat, right?
And it's just rolling.
It's just rolling,
idling.
and my foot is like off the accelerator. Like, I'm not touching this thing.
I'm not
And
touching it.
yeah, we come in, and I'm just a freaking nervous 16-year-old kid.
Oh, yeah.
And then, and yeah, I told after hot laps, I'm like, Rick, this thing's like driving a jet, man.
Yeah.
I've never in my life experienced acceleration like that before. It was incredible.
But those 2 weekends must have gone. You must have finally figured out how to get your right foot on the gas pedal.
So Wayne County went really, really good.
How good?
So I have the race results actually right here.
That's sick, dude.
So
That's how it means something.
yes, so
When over 10 years later, they're still in your photo roll.
that that sprintcarratings.com or
Oh,
whatever.
Yeah. Dude, I live on that website.
So that sprintcarratings.com has result. It has like,
yeah. I guess if you would have put your name in and then go back to that
Yes.
year, it would show you how you did.
So I think I remember I ran like 5th, and Rick was so excited because it was it was just a local show,
Right.
but it was his best finish all year long.
Yeah.
Was with this 16-year-old kid. It's gonna take me a minute to find it, but I know I screenshotted it. at
Well,
some
it's
point.
probably on there, and it might even be on like the third turn. I don't know if it was just a local show, if there'd be results for that event on the third turn. But
yeah.
sprintcarratings.com. That website has everything. I mean,
I know I have it.
if you want to talk about how to sound like you're a good announcer and you know what you're talking about when you don't, man, sprintcarratings.com will help a brother out pretty aggressively.
Screenshots. Here we go. Now I'll find it a lot quicker.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably in your camera.
There we go. Boom. I screenshotted it November 21st, 2022. Yeah. Take a look at that. August 19th, 2011. Sheldon was in there too.
Kenny Jacobs ran second. You ran fifth.
I ran 5th.
Man, Lee Jacobs was eighth.
And Lee Jacobs was just the driver that he fired too. So
Yeah, Sheldon Hodge 17th. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more names in there that I don't know that
Yeah.
are probably big deals in Ohio sprint car racing. But so fifth on your first night
yep.
in a 410 wing sprint car win. 4 hours earlier in hot laps, you were scared to touch the gas pedal.
Yeah, it was a definitely a great first night, and Rick's just like on top of the moon, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he just thinks, holy crap, this is insane. Like how does this 16-year-old kid come and do this? So I got humbled really quick the next night at Attica. I spun out the first lap of the feature and got hit and DNF'd. So I got humbled really quick, but at least I had shown potential, and yeah, I did really well.
Well, I mean, again, just the word humbled right there. It comes up later in Kathy's phone call, and I kind of want to go in a little bit of chronological order here.
Yeah.
But we're going to bounce around, no doubt, a little bit. So those 2 weekends with Rick Ferkel, a legend in the sport of wing sprint car racing, go pretty well, and then Rick decides to hire you.
Yes.
And you go home to Norman.
So it wasn't until a while later that he ended up hiring me.
Oh, so
I
it
don't
wasn't
know
like immediate.
Yeah, so we did the 2 weekends in Ohio, which was the end of August in 2011. And I had already, obviously, I'm running for Darren Rustin.
Uh-huh.
So I'm committed to him through 2011. He had other drivers that he was running. And then starting 2012, I actually was committed to run like the full Power Eye midget series in 2012. And Rick, we'd stayed in touch or whatever. But I don't remember. He had plans to run someone else in 2012. So we stayed in touch, but we're just like, whatever. We'll just kind of go about our way.
Okay.
But then it wasn't until middle of 2012, like May, June, we're like, hey, let's do this. So yes, it was middle of 2012. He hired me, and then I moved to Ohio, and we're running ever since.
Well, Kathy said that you come back after going home to get all your stuff, and I didn't understand that it wasn't like, I kind of understood it as those 2 weekends were over, and Rick's like, you're driving for me full time, get back here.
Yeah, no, in 2012, I was gonna run the full Power Eye midget schedule, and I don't remember why it didn't work out to run the beginning of 2012, but it wasn't until mid-year.
So those 2 weekends in Ohio were in 2011?
2011.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
So you come back in the summer of 2012, and as Kathy Ferkel tells the story, again, what an awesome lady. I literally asked her, I said, do you have any time to talk about Christopher Bell? And she replied with, I'm driving. I'll be available here and here. And absolutely, Christopher is one of my favorite people. So Kathy Ferkel, one of my favorite people because she was awesome to talk to. She says, you come back to drive for Rick full time. You bring your bags, you bring your mom, and you bring a steering wheel and pedals with you.
Yep, in my computer.
R factor comes up a lot when talking about you, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Everybody I spoke to either knew what R factor was or learned about it through you. But Kathy made a mention during all this that she was like, man, Christopher's parents, what faith, what trust they must have had in us and in all these other people to let their kid go off and move in and go live with people that your parents don't even really know, if we're being completely honest.
Definitely.
What do you credit your parents' ability to sit back and let that happen to?
Oh man, I mean, so I remember whenever I moved up there, my mom was super nervous. And she went up with me, right? And then clearly she got me settled in, and then she ended up going back home, and obviously I lived up there with them. So I I don't know what that's like because I'm not a dad yet,
Right.
but I can imagine it'd be really tough.
I can't imagine what it's like either. This is all kind of based on experiences I've had, and I look at the things I've gotten to go do, and my parents let me go at a very young age, and it's just like,
I do
how do you
remember
do that?
I do remember my sisters thought that it was the dumbest thing ever.
Your sister
What?
vocalized that to you?
Oh yeah, so I have two sisters, one, and they're both just like, "What? Like you're literally letting him move across the United States to go race, like whenever he's a kid that should be going to school or whatever."
They're both older than you?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both quite a bit older than me. So, I don't know. I actually you're sparking my interest. I should ask my parents like what were they thinking?
Genuinely, you should, just because you want to know that, and you're going to be a parent one day, I presume. And again, like I said, I don't have kids either that I know of, and I have two younger siblings, and I think about it at least in that term, and I go, man, what would I do if my younger brother or my younger sister called me and said, I'm going to go move across the country and live with these people that I've never met and nobody in our family knows, and I'll talk to you later? I'd be like, you're crazy. And then magnify that feeling by about 1 billion probably when you're the parent.
Yeah.
And I think it's a huge testament to your parents, just probably, I'm guessing, faith in God, trust in you to make good decisions, to let you go off and do that, and just willingness to help you succeed, and them acknowledging, hey, this will help him succeed. I think that's crazy that parents, it's crazy good that parents let guys like us go off and do stuff like that.
Definitely.
I hope you do talk to them and ask them, and then we can come back here and do an update to the episode of the origin stories of your parents' faith. But yeah, Kathy said you showed up with a steering wheel, some things to put over your ears while you were racing. I'm guessing just headphones
Just
to
headphones,
hear,
yeah.
to hear the intercom,
Yeah.
and your pedals. And she goes, man, he asked to use my computer room that first night after he got all settled in, and Rick and I are out watching TV. And she goes, Christopher closes that door, and 15 minutes later he's in there hooting and hollering and making all kinds of noise. We don't understand what he's saying, but he was into it. So they said you got pretty aggressive on our factor right off the gate.
Were you an R Factor guy?
I was not.
You're not. So yeah, we had, man, back in the day, we had such a great community of
Mhm.
like people that we would get on TeamSpeak for hours, and TeamSpeak would be our form of communication, and we would have like just league nights. Like
Yep.
I remember Sunday was wing sprint cars, Monday was like wing 360s, Tuesday was non-wing sprint cars, and like every night there was a league race on R Factor.
That's so cool.
And it was, yeah, there's 30 to 50 guys that would come and participate in this league night.
That's
And
so cool.
it was, yeah, and that was it. I go back to like driving the car with no setup in it, right? It taught me to drive harder and to like push myself outside of my comfort zone to do good. Well, the same thing of like that, like we didn't have, or I didn't have Call of Duty. We didn't have whatever. Like we ran R Factor. We online raced during the nights, and
Mhm.
like from the time the day was over, we got on the computers till 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Like we were just racing. Like there was a group of us. Logan Seavey was in there,
Mhm.
and I'm sure that it didn't hurt us, right? Like we are playing video games, but you're still driving. You're still getting the hand-eye coordination of like race etiquette, racecraft, stuff like that. So
Totally.
I think that was also a big key in honing my driving ability.
Well, so then Kathy goes down that path, and she says that you came out, and Rick goes, "What are you doing in there? And
So
what's with all
Rick
the
was
noise?"
not a fan with it at first.
He was not. That's what Kathy said. Kathy said Rick was like, "That can't help you. You're wasting your time."
That's right.
What? Because he was
That's
a
right.
really old school guy. But Kathy says in private, and she doubts he ever told it to you
He
before he
did.
passed.
He did.
He did tell this to you.
Yeah.
He came around on it and thought one of the reasons you went as far as you have and you're as good as you are. Rick Ferkel came around to the idea that these computer simulations of dirt races
Had to help me.
did help you.
Had to help me. Absolutely.
You probably were like the single-handed guy that turned Rick Ferkel at least a little bit more towards technology, because Kathy's like, he'd never come into my computer room. He'd never touched the computer. And he originally thinks you're crazy for doing it, but you get this, old dog and kind of teach him a new trick. Does that feel like kind of good to you to show that guy something?
Yeah, it certainly does. And me and Rick, man, Rick was like, he was like, obviously a father figure to me, but also like a best friend, my closest mentor, like the guy that I looked up to, the most. And I loved to prove him wrong because there was nobody more set in their ways than Rick Ferkel. That is the absolute end of conversation. He is set in his ways.
Yeah.
So I remember we got in a fight. That Darren Rustin midget that I had, it had a stomping brake pedal in it.
Okay.
So you're familiar with how sprint car brake pedals are, right?
I think maybe.
Like they
Educate
slide
me.
forward, right?
The brake pedal?
Yes,
Yeah.
the brake pedal slides forward.
Yeah.
Well, this old midget that I had a stomping brake pedal that went down.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Like you're talking about how a pedal will have throw in it towards the front of the car
Yes, it
versus
worked
like
just
straight down.
It worked just like a throttle pedal. So
Yep.
the throttle pedal goes down,
Yep.
and then normally the brake pedal slides forward or backward.
Yep.
Well, this midget that I had, they both went down like this.
Oh, wow.
And Rick was like, "That's impossible. There's no way." And I'm like, "Rick, I promise you, this midget that I drove had a brake pedal that went down." And I eventually proved him wrong. So that was one of the highlights of my career.
I think that just speaks to how much you cared about him, because it's only the people that you really give a darn about that you're like, no, I want to show you, I want to change your opinion or at least educate you. Because if you don't give a darn about the guy, you're just like, whatever, man, you think what you want.
Yeah.
But clearly he felt strongly and loved you, and it was reciprocated. Kathy said that when the NASCAR opportunities began to come and the truck opportunities began to come, you actually learned how to drive stick in an old black
and
standard.
His what was it, Chevy S10 or something?
Yeah, she couldn't remember the model, but she said it's this old black Chevy, standard cab.
Yep.
And she goes, that's how Christopher learned how to drive a standard transmission.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'd never driven one in my entire life, but yeah, Rick had what'd they call it, the man truck? Rick would always call it the man truck, and we go right around this old beat up truck that he had a big old dog that shed like crazy, and the thing was just destroyed. But me and Rick would go right around in it.
Yeah, that's what she said. She goes, they would putz around in that thing all the time, and you really just enjoyed spending time with him.
I did. He was, obviously a hero, but much more than that. He was my mentor and the guy that taught me he taught me how to be a racer.
Well, it sounds like he taught you a little bit more than just how to be a racer. Kathy said that Rick really impressed upon you, and she, I'm sure, did as well, but she didn't want to speak like giving herself credit. She said that you and Rick had lots of discussions about faith. And
Absolutely.
that Rick was very strong. Rick and Kathy were very strong in their faith. And she said that, she believed you came to the home with a knowledge and, Jesus and all that. But she said that Rick and you spent a lot of time talking about your faith. Can you tell me about those conversations at all?
Well, yeah, so I grew up obviously, not obviously, but I did grow up being a Christian. Like my mom was into church. She actually did like she like sang in the church, and we were in and out of church throughout kids. Like we'd be hot and heavy on it at times and then kind of drift away. And then whenever I got in my early teenage years, you're not really thinking about religion and stuff. So it was really good for me to go to the Ferkel's house whenever I did at 16, 17 years old. And he instilled, faith in me and let me know how important it is. And he was always on me, right? Like he gave me a Bible and was always like, you're reading your Bible, you're reading your Bible. So, the Ferkels have, they've been a huge, huge impact in my life for sure.
Is faith still a strong part of your life today?
It is, absolutely. I got the Bible that Rick gave me. He signed it. It touches my heart. It hits me every time I open it up.
They said they were very grateful, and they thought it was a little bit of God's will that you ended up at Joe Gibbs Racing. racing for a man in Joe Gibbs who is as pronounced in his faith.
It's crazy how it works out. Yes, if there was one person in the industry that Rick would want me to drive for, it's where I'm at today.
Damn, that's heavy.
It's crazy.
When
It's
you
absolutely
really
crazy.
stop and look at it, like, doesn't that feel big?
It is.
I mean, that's
It
that,
is.
that you can't say that that's not some way, somehow, some of God's, will, some of his plan. I think, and that's what Kathy said. She said one of the other things that he really impressed upon you, she saw at least while you lived with him, was mental toughness. And you said something already when you were talking about Uncle Will giving you a good race car, and when it was after he left, actually, I think you were talking about how, like, well, we didn't know about setup. We didn't know the car could be a reason I didn't do well. So you grew up even at that point knowing, like, well, I'm not just going to get out and blame my race car. Kathy said that Rick really, really pounded into you, like, don't look for excuses, be tough, and just make the most of every opportunity. Does that resonate with you? Was that kind of the stuff that he tried to really work with you on?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like he was the most physically tough and mentally tough person that I think I will ever be around in my entire life. And yeah, certainly I try and live by that motto, right? Like look at yourself first, make sure that you're doing everything that you can in your power to whatever it is, whether it's racing or other forms of things in life. So yeah, he taught me the ultimate level of accountability for sure.
Damn, I think that's such a valuable thing to have no matter what you're doing.
It's everything, man. It is
Right.
everything.
Right, whether you're driving a race car on Sundays or whatever, dude. If you clean buildings like this for a living, I mean, I like how you worded it. You got to look at yourself first.
Yeah.
And go after yourself. Yeah, you guys were really close. Kathy said it would be 2 to 4 times a week. You and him would be on the phone together.
Oh yeah, I mean, I drove for him. I actually didn't drive for him very long, but it's whenever I left, like I would every single thing in life, like I would call him and ask him and ask for advice on how I handle this or what do I do here and it became a lot easier whenever I started racing in NASCAR because he could watch the race, and then this was before streaming really came around.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he would watch every single one of my races and be super analytical of the race and critique me, critique the team, and just someone that I really looked up to and valued his input, and he certainly helped mold me for sure.
Well, and Rick and Kathy already had 2 boys, and they'd moved out of the house by the time you got there, Tony and Ricky.
Yep.
So you kind of came in at the perfect time, they said, to just sort of be like a third son to them.
Yeah.
Is that what it felt like?
It did. Yeah. I mean, like I said, Rick was he was a father figure to me, but my parents weren't into racing, and they Rick he was the guy. Like he was my racing dad.
When do you get your Toyota development deal? Is that 2013?
It was uh so 2013 was the first year that I drove for KKM.
Okay.
But technically in 2013 I was nothing more than just a hired driver at KKM. I
Okay.
was not a Toyota driver. So I didn't get my Toyota deal until 2014.
Well, so the reason I ask is I'm just trying to line up the years here. Like, the years, I guess, really don't matter. I'm just trying to give some context.
Yeah.
You get your Toyota development deal, and that year that you get that deal, whether it's 13, whether it's 14, you and Rick had plans to go run the full All-Star schedule.
Yes.
And Rick
yes.
bows out of that to let you go do your
Is
Toyota
that what
deal.
Kathy says?
Is that correct?
Yeah, it is right. So 2012, I moved up to Ohio the middle of 2012. We complete the end of the season. We run like half a year in 2012, and then we're like, yeah, we're doing the All-Stars in 2013.
Okay, so it's 13.
Yep. So we're doing the All-Stars in 2013, going full-time. We're hitting the road.
In Rick's car.
In Rick's car.
Yep.
Rick's pumped. I'm pumped. I'm going to be a full-time sprint car driver. Like, I can't wait. And I remember we were the first race was in Screven, Georgia.
Yep.
Maybe, I don't know, beginning of February, maybe end of January. And obviously the Chili Bowl is huge to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had planned to run the 2013 Chili Bowl for Kenny Brown.
Oh, wow.
I called Kenny Brown, and he had he'd given me a ride, and I was super excited about this ride. I'm gonna run for Kenny Brown. He's got these super nice race cars. I'd raced against him whenever I was or raced against Austin Brown, his son, whenever I was in Darren's Midgets, and then it was November. It was actually right after Turkey Night, so ended November. in 2012. I was already back home in Norman, and I get a phone call from Pete. And Pete's like, "Hey, this is Pete Willoughby with Keith Kunz Motorsports. We want you to come run the Chili Bowl for us." And I'm like, "Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Like, is this real life?"
Yeah.
And I told Pete, I'm like, "Pete, I've already committed to Kenny Brown. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do." He's like, "Well, he didn't tell me what to do, but he's like, well, we want you to come run Chili Bowl for us. You need to figure this out." So I had to call Kenny and tell him, "Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But Pete called me and I'm going to go run for KKM."
How'd that go?
It didn't make Kenny super happy.
Yeah.
But I think he got over it. He likes me now. So we're on good terms now. But, yeah, it didn't, it was obviously a shock to me that Keith Kunz Motorsports wanted me to come run, Chili Bowl for him. But once again, it's only Chili Bowl. Gonna go run Chili Bowl for KKM, and then we're going full-time sprint car racing in 2013, going to run the All-Stars.
Yep.
That's right. So we get to Tulsa, and it might have even been before my prelim night or something. Pete pulls me up to the grandstands over there in 3 and 4 at the Chili Bowl, and he's like, "Hey, Kyle was our full-time guy. Kyle is now leaving to go run whatever it was, K&N or nationwide full-time. I don't remember what it was at that time." He's like, "But we need a full-time driver to go run for the championship in 2013, and we want it to be you." So this is at Chili Bowl. I'm just supposed to be running Chili Bowl. I'm like, "Pete, I'm going to Screven, Georgia in like a couple weeks. Like, we're gonna go run the All-Stars. Like, I don't know if I can't really do this. Like, I
Wow.
appreciate it, but the answer is no." And then actually Sam Haferteep and Daryl Turford, they were around me whenever I was with Rick, right? Sam and Rick had a great relationship.
Yeah.
They would come up and stay at the house with me throughout the years. So I, had or I valued Sam's input. And I went over to Sam at the Chili Bowl. I'm like, "Sam, Pete just asked me to run full-time USAC with him in 2013." And Sam was like, "Man, you really need to take this serious. Like, that could be a huge opportunity for you." And I called Rick, and Rick, all the way until his death, like, he said that he told me to go run for KKM.
Yeah.
He did not tell me to go run for KKM. Like, he definitely was, selfishly upset that I ended up bailing on him, and he knew deep down that it was the right decision.
I mean, I want to make sure that I didn't come out too strong with that when I set this all up. I don't think Kathy necessarily to me said anything like, "Oh yeah, Rick pushed him out the door."
Yeah,
and
no.
He,
I know.
he put
I
the
know.
pen in his hand to sign the deal.
It's funny because Rick, even what he would tell me, he's like, "Oh, I just knew you had to take that deal. I knew you had to do that." I'm like, "Rick, come on!" Like, whenever I made that first phone call, he's like, "No, that's not a smart decision. You shouldn't do that.
Oh, God,
you
yeah.
shouldn't do that."
Well, I was gonna say, don't you think there could be a little bit of middle ground where he did know that you need to take that opportunity, but selfishly
Absolutely.
he
Absolutely.
didn't want to miss out on
Yes.
racing with you?
That's absolutely how it went.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that's just when Kathy told me
Yeah,
that.
that's
That's who he was as a guy.
Yep. And that's how it went. And it was honestly, it was Sam Haferteep that pushed me to be like, you need to do this. So thank you, Sam, for the encouragement to do it. And I ended up accepting the ride at KKM. And I'm pretty sure me and Rick, we kind of agreed that, like, yeah, I'll run your car whenever I'm off on the USAC schedule. And so it still worked out where I got to run for Rick through 2013 in a couple one-off races, and I ran the full midget schedule. We did a bunch of Power I races. We did full-time USAC in 2013, and yeah, it was Rick. We through the thick and thin, right? It wasn't the prettiest day whenever I had to call and tell him that I wasn't going to run the All-Stars. I was quitting them to go run USAC full-time. But he ultimately knew that it was a great opportunity for me and stayed with me by my side.
Yeah, well, you going off to do some of those races later after you signed the deal with KKM, those come up a little bit with Pete. But the last thing I have to ask you about Rick Ferkel and your time there, living with them in Ohio. Where in Ohio were they?
They're in Tiffin.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. So the last thing I got to know about with this is Kathy tells me, man, Christopher and Rick never really argued. They always loved hanging out with each other. They talk on the phone all the time. She told me about when you two chartered a plane up to see him.
Yep.
When things were starting to get pretty bleak for him, health wise, I guess. But she said, amongst all that, she goes, the only real low point I can ever really imagine Christopher probably ever had with Rick was she thinks it was Wayne County.
It was.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
I think so. Go on.
Man, if just off that alone, you already know the story.
I know where you're going.
Dude, that's pretty impressive because that's about as vague of an intro as I can get. What do you think the story is?
Wayne County, I wrecked, right?
Something came off the car.
Yes.
And then what happened?
This was actually 2012, the first weekend that I went to run full time for him.
Oh,
in
no kidding.
2012.
Okay.
So 2011, those 2 weekends that I did went really well, right?
Yeah.
Like I ran fifth the first night. I spun out the second night, but I did well and in the heat race and then whatever. So 2011 went really well. 2012, I had just quit. The Darren Rustin midget and micro that I was running.
Okay.
And I moved to Ohio and my mom was up there with me. She took me up there and we went to Wayne County for like the first race and I wrecked the first race.
Okay.
And Rick all the way till his death, he was like, you were trying to outrun my previous driver. I think it was either Chris Andrews or Lee Jacobs in the heat race. I was trying to circle him.
Okay.
And I just walled it off of turn 4 and just destroyed the car, like knocked the rear end out of it. And it was the torque tube. The torque tube came out of the car and they threw it in the in the infield, right?
Uh-huh.
So Rick made me walk across the infield. The frickin' place is packed, right? Packed house. I'm like this young kid walking into the infield to go pick up my bent torque tube that is never going to get used again other than take it to the scrapyard to get your $20 from. And that was the most embarrassing thing all time of like having to go to the infield to pick up scrap metal and then bring it back to the trailer.
Dude, I literally just go low point and maybe Wayne County, and you go, yep, I know exactly what it is. That's crazy.
He was so mad at me, and my mom was like, oh, please don't fire him. Please don't fire him. He just literally quit his previous ride to come up here. You can't fire him night 1. So it was it was not. That was definitely a low point. It was early on in our tenure, but yeah.
Dude, that's impressive that you knew where I was going with that. We did not talk about that at all before we hit record on this. So then I just got to, if all you're doing is going down there to pick up a piece of torque tube that's going to get probably tossed in the dumpster.
It absolutely did get tossed in the dumpster.
So why did he make you do it?
Because he wanted his $20. We wouldn't toss it into the dumpster. We take it to a scrapyard.
Okay.
So all of the used or bent stuff, he would go and you put it in the back of your truck and then you dump out and you get paid X amount per pound, right?
Oh, I thought it was me some life lesson. Like I got back to the trailer with the torque tube and
he wanted his $20. Nothing more than that. Nothing more than that.
Well, that is what Kathy said. She goes, some really expensive part came off the car, and well, Rick made Christopher go walk the track after it was over to go find it. And
it was in a heat race, man. The freaking place was packed.
Oh, so the night wasn't even over yet.
Oh no, it was a heat race.
Oh,
yeah,
my
it was the heat
gosh.
race, and the whole crowd was staring at me as I go pick up my junk crap from the infield. It was embarrassing.
Rick Ferkel really was like your dad then.
He really was.
Or a father figure to you. So, yeah, Pete Willoughby reaches out to you, and you get this opportunity with him, and you relocate now from originally Oklahoma to Ohio. Now you're going to southern Indiana to live with Pete and his wife just outside of Columbus. And Pete said we had just moved to a new house on the lake.
Yep.
And he goes, we had these big windows that showed you the great view of the lake. And he goes, man, Christopher had been there just a few days. And Christopher's sitting there looking at me. He goes, man, you know what, Pete? I think I could get used to living like this.
I was living large. That's for sure.
Yeah, house on the lake.
Large.
It's just Pete and his wife, and then you. And again, right off the bat, he tells me, man, that R Factor setup came right in the front door and then down to the basement. He goes, I go to a T-Mobile or Xfinity or whoever it was back then. And he goes, I run a second line of internet into the house, so we wouldn't have to worry about him gumming us up on our internet. We wouldn't worry about slowing him down. And he said, man, that kid was in the basement more hours a day than he was upstairs talking to us. And you continued to live on R Factor with the Willoughbys.
R Factor was life, man.
Yeah.
It was, you were racing on the weekends, and then you were playing R Factor in the week. That's for sure.
Okay, I got you. Did you bring your dog to live with the Willoughbys?
Yeah, so I was with Pete for a long time.
3 years.
Yep, I lived there through a long time, and later on I'm like, Pete, we gotta get a dog in here, man. Like I grew up with dogs all the time, so I eventually had my mom bring up my dog. His name was Mason. We called him Racing Mason.
So you get there in what, spring of 13?
Yep.
Because that Chili Bowl you were just talking about was
That's right.
January
Yeah,
of
I
13.
moved up in March of 2013. Yep.
Okay, so he said, yeah, you get up there spring March of 2013, and he starts telling me this story, and I didn't really understand the background of it, so you'll have to fill me in here. He goes, yeah, we're living on the lake, and Christopher gets up there, and he goes, we had a boat, and he goes, Christopher right off the bat is like, man, Pete, I'm good at wake surfing and all these water sports out in the lake. And the way Pete's telling the story, he kind of like sounds like he's doubting you. And then he goes, man, the first time we get in the water, he goes, I give Christopher that rope. He goes, I hit the gas, we take off. And he goes, I'll be damned, Tony. Christopher pops right up out of the water and is just great at that wake surfing. So I don't understand. Had you never done it before?
No, I grew up on the lake.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Pete must have thought that you'd never seen a lake before or something.
I don't know why, but most people think that I'm unathletic. Even my wife says that. Like, you
Dang.
don't look athletic. But
Dang.
I grew up playing football, playing basketball, living on the lake. Like, so yes, it was super cool for me to live there. It was Grandview Lake in Columbus, Indiana. We lived there, and it was so much fun, man. During the summertime, we would be out on the lake, wake surfing and wakeboarding and doing all the fun stuff.
I can't. I don't know why on earth anyone would think you're not athletic looking. That's crazy.
That's the rumor going around.
I was gonna make a joke when you talked about coming to the Ferkels, and he walks right out of the house and goes, "You're not 18." Well, I mean, here's the deal. I'm 32 and I look like I'm 58 to some people. You today still look like you might be barely 18.
Yeah.
So at
yeah.
16, I can't imagine what you looked like.
I don't think I looked much different, honestly.
You probably didn't.
Yeah.
You're just like an ageless wonder.
Yeah.
It's the Toyota Joe Gibbs racing serum you got. But Pete said, yeah, for 3 years you're up there with him. And you'd go home to Oklahoma, I know, for the holidays and
Yeah.
for random trips back to see your family and everything. But you were with the Willoughbys, Pete and his wife Jennifer?
Yep.
Yeah, you were with them for pretty much the better part of 3 years. So what, 13, 14, 15, you're up there living with them in Indiana, racing with KKM. And I don't know if it was Uncle Will that you were talking about, but you kind of learned very early to like go to the shop and because he said you said he would make you clean the car.
Yeah.
As like a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
So that was one thing Pete said right off the bat was you would go to the shop at KKM. You wouldn't get up and go with him at 7 in the morning.
No.
But he said Christopher would always roll in with his lunch, and you really enjoyed being at the shop. It sounded like.
I did, yeah. So Uncle Will always instilled, or he would make me work on the race car, and so and then through Darren Rustin, and even Rick Ferkel, like I was always part of the race team of the mechanic side of the race team. Well, one thing that Larson changed the game from a driver standpoint, especially at KKM. But so whenever Larson showed up to KKM, he'd never like held a wrench before in his life, right?
Right.
And then he was a rock star, like this amazing race car driver.
Yeah.
And then I think it opened up some light for Keith, and it was like, man, I think he's a better race car driver because he just focuses on racing. Like he's not focused on the race car and how the mechanics work. Like he literally is only focused on driving.
100% on driving.
So that was what they told me. They're like, hey, we want you to be this style of like, we want you to drive the car and drive the car only and do that to the best of your ability. You let us work on the car. So I didn't have anything else to do during the days, but I would just go to the shop and hang out. You know, Christo Balls was there. He was a mechanic that I loved hanging out with. Just go there, hang out with Keith and Christo, and Big Al was there at a period of time, like a bunch of different mechanics. I'd sit in the race cars, like they'd be changing bars or whatever it was, doing fuel filters, and I'd just be sitting in my seat, sitting in the car, hanging out with them. So
did you like that kind of change though? That they were like, hey, don't worry about working on them anymore, just drive them. How do you react to that?
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Yeah,
it's a little bit easier.
Yes, and I wholeheartedly like agree with that sentiment. Like if you're gonna be the best driver that you can be, I think you need to be 100% in on studying the racetrack, not focused on, what bars or what shocks or what springs, whatever. You need to be focused on, watching the races, watching the track, and focusing on hitting your marks, hitting your lines, what lines you're gonna run. And I think you really shouldn't even know what the setup is of the car. Like you should have full faith in your crew chief, whoever that is, that he's gonna have the car good, and you've got to drive the car good, and it's up to you. Like the best crew chiefs that I've ever driven for in my career are the crew chiefs that I know are going to give me the best car, and they're going to demand the best out of me. And if I lose that race, it's because I didn't drive good. It's not because the car wasn't good, it's because I didn't drive good.
Man, you know what? All I hear when you say all that, the only thing I hear coming out of your mouth is 7, 8-year-old Christopher Bell at, I guess, where would have been I-44, not knowing there was a difference between this setup and that setup.
Yeah.
And if you didn't run well, it had to be my fault.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's wild that it goes back that far mentally for you. Well, that's a shock. I think a lot of people will be amazed to hear that you're not under the hood of your Joe Gibbs racing machine, you know.
Whenever I'm driver mode, I am absolutely 100% disengaged with setup and have no idea what's going on with setup, and 100% trust and faith in the mechanics and the crew chiefs that are working on the car. So I love working on the cars, and like we just did the Chili Bowl for the first time in my own equipment. Yeah, with Caden driving and myself driving, and obviously that, like, you know, I'm the one making the decisions on the setup and stuff, but I'm not the best me as the driver, right?
Mhm.
Like, in order for me to be the best driver, I have to have a crew chief working on the car.
Totally.
But I've, you know, we're years ahead here, so yeah, let's stay on the course.
I get it. I get it, and also just I gotta tell you, those Chili Bowl cars you brought I just loved how they looked. From like the gray color to them, everything about yours and Caden's cars. The black, the red, the white, the color scheme, how you designed them. I mean, those were good looking race cars. You know, I know it was a big sense of pride for you to show up to that race with your own equipment, and we talked about that, and I just think that was so cool. Pete talked about, you know, in 3 years, he would take you to those Rick Ferkel races.
He would,
when you weren't running a KKM midget, and you wanted to go to Ohio to run a wing sprint car. Well, you weren't driving there by yourself. Pete Willoughby was taking you.
Yeah, Pete, we went everywhere, man. He had his Lexus, and it started out with that, right? Going to different dirt races for different sprint car owners, or I had a Silver Crown deal that I did, and non-wing sprint cars that I ran, and then it transitioned into
the late models. Yeah.
And we were freaking going
Pensacola.
down to Pensacola and Opp, Alabama, and New Smyrna. Pete was going with me to all that, and then the next thing you know, we're truck racing, and Pete's going with me to the truck races. Pete, you know, he was another, you know, really big father figure in my life, and you know, I love Pete, and he took care of me, man. He took care of me.
Yeah, it sounds like it, and you took care of him apparently on one of those trips. He doesn't remember where. I feel like everything in your life comes back to Wayne County. I don't know, you know, if you have plans to be buried there or something when it's all said and done, but you should look into it, because Wayne County comes up about as often as he's such a nice guy. He's very respectable. I don't know if this happened at Wayne County or not, but Paul, I'm sorry, not Paul, Pete said that you helped him out in a pretty tough time in his life. You guys were out racing, and he had you on the road. Maybe it was in one of Rick Ferkel's cars, but you're with Pete on the road, and his dad dies. Like, I don't know if it was unexpectedly or if it was, you know, not, you know, if they knew it was coming or whatever, but you guys were out on the road, and Pete Willoughby's dad dies, and you're like 18, 19 at that point, I think, and Pete goes, I didn't have anybody else that day when I get that phone call. All I had was Christopher, and he said it was a very good thing I had Christopher. Do you remember that day?
I don't.
Really?
No, he's never. I mean, I remember his dad passing, but I didn't know that it hit him hard. And yeah, that you're sharing news to me, and that makes me very happy. That makes me cool. I'm glad that I was able to be there and comfort him in that time.
Yeah, I guess maybe I don't know if, like, in the moment he actually told you that it had happened.
He did. I mean, I remember his dad passing,
okay,
but I don't remember
you being a big part of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
No, you were, according to him, and I'm not saying that, like, you know, you pulled him up from the ground or anything, but
Yeah.
I just think that we all need someone close to us when that happens, and you were literally the only person he had, and you were there for him, and he made it a point to bring that up, that you were a big part of that moment in his life, getting him, you know, to a better spot after his dad passed on. Again, I don't know if it was unexpectedly, but you were there for that, and it meant a lot to him.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate Pete trusting me enough to tell me that and to share something crazy that goes on, you know, that you were there for, and he went through with you. Was there a monster truck in your life that you owned?
There was a monster truck
that ended up turning eventually one day into a Lexus?
Yes, there was a monster truck.
Pete was very surprised to watch a monster truck turn into a Lexus. How'd that happen?
Yeah, so I was a truck guy whenever I first turned 16. I started off, ironically, with a Toyota Tacoma. Yeah.
Let's go.
I know. Who would have thought? I'm a Toyota guy. My first truck was a Toyota Tacoma. Love that thing.
Brand loyalty.
Yep. Now, I did wander off. I did deviate. I went from a Toyota Tacoma to a couple GMCs. I had like a GMC Sierra 1500. I love this GMC Sierra. Like,
Okay.
that thing was amazing, beautiful truck. Never had any issues, never
Right.
had any complaints. And then my brother-in-law, he talked me into buying this monster truck. And I went from, just a normal GMC Sierra to like this huge freaking jacked up truck with big old wheels on it. Like, it was legit a monster truck. And my brother-in-law's like, "Oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love it."
Yeah.
And I bought that thing and I drove it for like, I don't know, 6 or 8 months, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And then Pete, he was like, "Oh, you should look into this Lexus." And I found this IS 350 F Sport, and I traded my truck in, or that monster truck. I traded the monster truck in for this Lexus, and I've been a car guy ever since, man.
He said that you guys drove around almost every car lot in Indianapolis, it felt like, for a day
We
or
did.
two.
We did, trying to find the right car.
He took you up from Columbus,
Yep.
and he's like, Christopher never really had a big desire to hang out in Indy. That was different than Kyle. Kyle would always kind of sneak up and hang out in Indianapolis, it sounded like. But he goes, yeah, Christopher and I drive around for a full day or two and just go from every car lot, from the newest BMW dealership to some used car lot. And he's like, we finally settle on this Lexus.
Yes.
And he goes, I would have never in 100 years, Tony, thought Christopher Bell, at that age especially,
I was a truck guy, man.
would go, yeah, that's what I want.
I was a truck guy, but I fell in love with that Lexus IS 350.
And he says, I think you've owned a few since then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah.
I drive a Lexus. I have a GSF now. I don't know if you're familiar with cars, but they've discontinued the GSF.
Okay.
So that's like my prized possession. Like, I love that GSF. It drives so good. It's perfect.
Well, and I am a car guy. I always tell people I like race cars a lot more than cars.
Me too.
I don't
Me too.
really, I don't get all caught
Me
up
too.
in this is the M6, that's the M3 BMW. I don't care. It's a BMW.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Right. I
agree.
really care a lot more about race cars. So forgive my ignorance here, but is Lexus the like luxury version of Toyota?
It is. It is.
Dude,
Who would have thought?
were you not born to be in the position
I
you're
know
in?
it. I know it.
Lexus.
I deviated from the Toyota Tacoma into the GMC stuff, and
It's
I
okay.
came back home.
We'll bleep that part out.
I came back home, man. I'm a Lexus guy.
I mean, for you to just randomly be like, that Lexus, that town car, at how old are you?
Now, it wasn't no town car. Come on now. That thing was sporty. It was an F Sport.
You weren't taking it to church on Sundays and the grocery store on Mondays?
No, this thing. I wanted a car that had power and was like fun to drive.
Yeah.
And the IS 350 F Sport was like, it was the perfect mix. Like, it was a smaller car. It freaking scooted. It hauled ass for what it was.
Scooted, I like that.
Yeah, it was fun.
I'm going to have to work that in this year at high limit. I'll be like, here's Christopher Bell. He's scooting around turns 1 and 2 right now. He looks really good.
There you go.
Yeah, Pete said it was crazy, and he said that you guys had a kick kind of learning about that car and you getting into it and everything. Yeah, he said you guys spent a lot of time together just going to all the different races and traveling all around the country. And then, man, he just impressed upon me the same thing that everybody else does. And he goes, man, whether he's getting interviewed on national television or he's standing in the pits talking to you, probably at Wayne County of all places, Christopher Bell is the same guy through and through. Have you always been like that? Did your parents, did racing craft you into just being a super consistent guy, or has that just been normal to you? To not really have to be this guy over here and then this guy over here. You seem to be the same guy. Because I agree with them. Whether I'm watching you on a NASCAR broadcast or we're doing this right here, I don't watch you on TV and go, wow, that's not what he's like at the dirt track. Have you always been like that?
I don't know, man.
Okay.
I honestly don't know. I try, and I don't even know how to answer that.
I think the answer is that you probably have been, and it probably comes from your upbringing and people, just expecting you to be you all the time and you just doing that. And so like that sounds like a loaded question, but it's really not. I don't want to give away any names here because the individual who told me this said it might be a sensitive issue, but I understand very much like myself, you have a bit of a tactile issue.
A tactile issue?
You don't like touching certain surfaces? Paper napkins?
Yeah.
Just so you know, there's no shame in it because I'm the exact same way. Like, I'll be completely honest with you right now. Holding this notepad is kind of giving me a little bit of like a twitch.
So yes, I do have a thing for paper towels, especially like I love chicken wings, right?
Who doesn't?
Love chicken wings. I'm a chicken wing connoisseur, but I can't stand whenever you have saucy hands with a dry paper towel. I literally can't stand that.
Yep.
So instead of using a napkin, instead of using a paper towel, like I'm just going to the bathroom.
Cloth.
I'm going to the bathroom.
Or like a cloth towel.
I'm just going to wash my hands.
Okay.
Like going to wash my hands. Hopefully it's a push door where you can use your elbow to get it, and then you're washing your hands. But yeah.
Again, this isn't supposed to make you feel really good because I'm not really that big of a deal, but I'm the same way. I can't touch paper. I can't touch popsicle sticks. If you put a popsicle stick on your teeth in front of me, I'll knock you out. It's disgusting. It's a tactile.
So I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad.
It's called a tactile deficiency.
Okay.
Because how you feel things is like the sense of tactileness. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not a term. But I'm super weird about it. And again, like certain types of paper, like construction paper, no way. If you could hand me $1 million bill made out of construction paper, and I'd be like, you keep it. No thanks.
Yeah, I'm definitely not that bad, but
Okay.
I prefer to wash my hands instead of using paper towels for sure.
I think that's a much healthier way to live, personally.
Yes.
That's a way healthier way to live. Anything else about Pete Willoughby that, like, again, I don't want to, sit on these people for hours and hours at a time, but, like, you spent so much time with that guy and his wife, Jennifer. Pete talked about how, like, man, if Christopher said he had an R Factor race at 7 p.m.,
We were having dinner make sure it was done, right?
dinner was 6 p.m. or 6:15, so Christopher could eat and then get downstairs and be on R Factor. But you described him in your own words as a father figure. What stands out about Pete Willoughby and your relationship and something you might have learned from him?
Whoa. I mean, I went to, Ferkel's house and Pete's house whenever I'm a young adult, right?
Mhm.
And they just really molded me. They molded me into who I am today. And my parents, did they did obviously an amazing job at growing or whatever it is.
Giving you your foundation.
Yeah, giving me my foundation, but then my young adulthood was spent with Rick and Pete.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Pete, I really owe. I mean, I owe everything to Pete, but even all these people, right? Like
Yeah.
Uncle Will, Darren Rustin, Rick Ferkel. Like, if you take any one of those people out of the equation, I don't end up here today. But yeah, one thing about Pete. So whenever about probably midway through, I was having success, and then we're trying to figure out the next step, and I actually got offered a Roush contract, right?
Oh, I've heard this. Yeah, I have heard this.
So I got offered a Roush contract that like literally spelled out how I was going to get to the Cup Series.
Yep.
Like it said, you're going to do this. I'm pretty sure it was full-time ARCA, and you're going to do full-time ARCA, you're going to do full-time trucks, you're going to do full-time Xfinity, and blah, blah, blah. By X year,
You'll be in Cup.
you'll be in Cup.
Yep.
Spelled it all out.
But Toyota gets pretty antsy at this point, don't they?
Yes, and Toyota, like, they just lost Larson,
Exactly.
so they were pretty committed to, making me the next guy, but they can't, they're not guaranteeing me anything, like nothing.
Oh,
and
wow.
so it was, once again, like, I'm gung-ho, like, oh my gosh, let me sign this Rouse contract, like, I'm going to be a NASCAR driver, right?
Right.
And Pete was like, I'm not going to say he wouldn't let me sign the Roush contract, because ultimately if I said, hey, I'm doing this, I was going to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he talked me off. I don't want to say off the ledge, but like he talked me into putting my faith in Toyota and riding it out with Toyota. And Toyota, it was literally a multi-year spelled out to Cup Roush contract,
Right.
or 10 races in a super late model at Cowbush Motorsports.
Oh,
Like,
man.
How on earth do you pick 10 races in a super late model at Cowbush Motorsports over a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract with Roush? And Pete trusted Jack Irving and Tyler Gibbs enough at Toyota. He's like, I think this is the move. Like, my gut tells me this is the move. And I ended up staying with Toyota. I don't even think it was a contract. Like, it was just like, we're going to give you, a handful of super late model races.
Man.
And I risked it all. Like, I mean, I say risked it all. I was,
I think you kind of did.
yeah. Well,
Because that offer's not going to come around every year.
yes.
And I was going to ask, is it because just Pete and Keith had
It
a good
was
relationship with
absolutely
Toyota?
100% because of Pete and what he told me,
But
the guidance that he gave me.
But does he give you that guidance because he's just like, I don't know, I think the wind's blowing this way?
No.
Or is it because their relationship with Toyota was so good to that point, he had a reason to go, no, Christopher, these guys will treat you right?
It was all because of the relationship they had, right? Like, by the time this was probably 2014, I think it was 2014, they had, I don't know, 5-10 years, however long it was with Toyota.
Right.
And one thing that Pete always said is that Toyota will never overpromise. They will always underpromise and overdeliver.
Wow.
He said, I promise you, man, they're not, they're telling you it's going to be 10 late model races, but there's going to be more. There's going to be more. And sure enough, in 2014, whenever I did my 10 late model races, it turned into 10 late model races, and I think we did 5 truck races that year. And then Toyota, they always under-promised and over-delivered, and that was, it's something that I'm forever grateful for.
Do you ever just wake up in the middle of the night and go, man, what if Pete wouldn't have done that for me? What if I wouldn't have listened to him?
Well, I think I was going to end up okay, but certainly I'm happy with the, where I ended up today. It's a dream come true. I like I said, I hit the lottery.
Yeah, no doubt. And I don't mean that in the sense like you could have gone to Roush and just petered out. I agree with you. I think you would have been okay. But you have this amazing relationship with Toyota.
Yeah, they're the best.
You got a couple.
They're the best.
You got a couple Toyota blocks down there in your midgets that you take to the Chili Bowl. I mean, I'm sure that they're working with you and helping you, and you just enjoy a great relationship with them today.
One thing that I cherish so much is the fact that they've literally been my everything, right? Like from the time that I left Ferkel and started my USAC career, like I've been the Toyota guy, like, and we have figured out this path. Like the Roush contract spelled it all out, and that was one thing that Tyler and Jack, whenever they came to me, they were like, we don't know how we're gonna get you to a Cup car. Like we don't know how we're gonna get you to a truck. We don't know how we're gonna get you to an Xfinity car. But if you put your faith with us, if you trust us, we're gonna try our hardest to figure this out.
Damn.
And we essentially on paper, it looks like, oh yeah, you go to super late models, you do this, then you go to trucks, and then you go to Xfinity. But it was so far.
It's never that easy.
It's never that easy, and like that, that year that it's unbelievable how it works out, because that year that I got 10 late model races, right? Kyle Busch Motorsports was full. Like there was no truck races available. Well, then at the time, I hate to name drop here, but his name was Justin Boston. Justin Boston was running full time at KBM. Something happened with his funding, and something happened with his funding. He got kicked out. All of a sudden, there's races open, and Jack and Tyler plugged me into KBM in the truck. And if Justin Boston's funding doesn't fall out, then I don't get those races, right? It's
this much.
Yeah.
If it doesn't change by this much, it doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
Did you pray about it?
I mean, absolutely. Yes. Like you just
not like did you pray for it to happen, but did you just pray
that
about
you're making the right decision?
Yeah.
That you're making the right decision, and it's just like, one thing that Pete really instilled in me was like, it's you don't know what's going to happen in the future. You can't worry about what's going to happen in the future. The only thing that you can do is what you do today in this moment right now.
Yeah.
So instead of worrying about what's next, just make it happen today. And I another advantage that I think I had in my career was whenever I was a kid, I never had aspirations to be a NASCAR driver. Like my dream was to be a professional racer. And I became a professional racer the day that Darren Rustin hired me to run his micro at 15 years old.
That's
right?
true.
So whenever Darren Rustin hired me to run his micro, I'm cashing checks for $200, $250. And I'm, making a living driving race cars, and I had accomplished my dream there, and everything else was just bonus. Like whenever he bought a midget, Darren Rustin bought a midget. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I get to drive a midget.
Right.
Like, and then I never thought that I was going to be a full-time, sprint car driver. Like I'm happy. I'm making a living driving micros and midgets. And then all of a sudden Ferkel calls, and now I'm running a sprint car, and now I'm happy that I get to run a sprint car full-time. And I'm a full-time sprint car guy. Like I'm making a living. This is great. Like I'm focused on this, and then whenever Pete calls, and now I'm running midgets for Toyota, like now I'm making a lot of money running USAC full time, and I'm like I'm happy. Like this is I never I never looked way out there. I was always focused on today.
Dude, that how you just worded that's people always ask. I'm sure they asked you this at a young age. They ask everybody, where do you want to end up? Where do you want to go? Well, I personally believe that if you're so worried about getting from A to Z, if you're just hell-bent on if I don't get from A to Z, then I'm a failure. Well, if you're that blinders on about getting to Z, you might miss what's at B, what's at C, what's at D, what's at E.
Totally agree.
And not that any of those are vastly guaranteed to be better, but you might end up somewhere. I didn't grow up wanting to be in sprint car racing. I didn't know anything about a sprint car. I didn't know about dirt or anything. And I look at where I'm at today and I go, man, I'm so glad I didn't say it's NASCAR or bust or it's IndyCar or bust, because I'm having a lot more fun and I've got to work in those arenas. But I agree with you about you can't be so worried about, and I feel like that's a real crime for kids today. I think it's a real shame that so many of these kids you talk to are like, yep, I'm on the path to be in NASCAR by 19.
Yeah.
Brother, just enjoy where you're at right now.
That's one thing that I cringe a little bit, like whenever I talk to kids coming up after me or, growing up now, I'm like, man, you don't need to be so focused on making it to NASCAR. Like, you should be focused on making it today. Like,
Exactly.
make whatever, like if you're driving midgets, you should be focused on winning your midget races for the whatever you have scheduled. You shouldn't be worried about moving up. Like, you should be worried about conquering where you're at now. And then whenever you conquer where you're at now, that's how you move up. So yeah, it's
Damn, that's a cold line. You shouldn't be worried about making it to NASCAR. You should be worried about making it today.
yeah.
Cut. We're done.
And that's Pete. That is all Pete. Like, that's not me. That's what Pete instilled in me.
Dude, I love that. That's such a raw piece of like life where you're just like, quit worrying about what could go right or wrong in 10 years. Worry about what could go right today and focus on being the best today. And like Rick Ferkel probably taught you, don't blame anybody else.
Yeah,
Look at yourself.
absolutely.
Take care of you before you worry about the car, before you worry about the crew chief. Take care of you.
Hmm.
Damn, dude. Rick Ferkel, Pete Willoughby, great life mentors.
They were. They're the best. They're
Yeah.
the best. I'm so fortunate.
And then you go from two really incredible life mentors to the Pimp Palace.
Yep. Oh, the old Pimp Palace. That's right.
And the Pimp Palace's tenant or owner, well, not owner because he was renting, the one and only Ross Weiss. And I don't know why you called it the Pimp Palace. He doesn't really either, because he said there wasn't a whole lot of like pimp-esque activity going on in and out of that place. But he said you were pretty quick to call his 700 square
Wait,
foot apartment.
I'm the one who named it that?
He says so. He goes,
Okay.
You'll have to
Okay.
ask Christopher about his nickname for the
Yeah.
apartment, which was the Pimp Palace.
Well, just the reason why I called it that was because it was just so like, I mean, it was starter, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was the first you move out on your own. Like, it was super, super small, super tight confines. And we just had a blast, man. We had a blast in it. Me and Ross and Chase, and actually Morgan. Morgan
Yeah.
was there with us, and we had a blast, man. We had a
Well,
blast.
so again, to set the scene for people that are not, washed in the blood, R Factor, sprint car fans, because again, R Factor comes up in this story and talking to this guy, but Ross Weiss, today, I don't even really know what his specific title is, but basically like the head video guy, content lead at World Racing Group and the
Yep.
World of Outlaws, and he was at Stewart Haas actually for a year. He went over and did some stuff on the NASCAR side, but Ross is just one of the most talented, creative video guys I think the sport of sprint car and dirt track racing has. And what would it have been, 2014, 2015, I think. He's got a 700 square foot apartment in, I don't even remember where he told me.
In Concord.
Concord. And through your friendship with Chase Briscoe, friendship, not friendship, I must be thinking about cookies. Through your friendship with Chase Briscoe, who's very close with Ross, you end up crashing for a weekend here, a weekend there. You
Yeah.
don't live with them, but you're staying on Ross's couch while you're running for Kyle Busch Motorsports in that late model that Pete Willoughby convinced you to make sure to stick around. So what was living with Ross like?
No, it was awesome, man. Ross was he was part of our R Factor group, right?
Yeah.
And me and Briscoe, it's funny because we were like pretty close to best friends, but we never really grew up around each other.
Yeah.
Like, we just raced online together. Like, this online community that we had, we were so tight. Like, me and Chase, we both grew up running micro sprints, but I'm in Oklahoma, he's in Indiana. And then ironically, whenever I moved to Indiana, like, we didn't ever really see each other, but we would race online every single night. So we were like brothers, right?
You pretty much knew each other without knowing each other.
Exactly, yeah. And so yeah, we both ended up living at Ross's apartment part-time. Like, I'm still at Pete's house, but whenever I come down here to run races or whenever we did the late model stuff, I would crash at Ross's house. And
which he said it would get cramped every once in a while because he talked about Ross.
So Ross, the dirty dog he is, man. He's such a
dirty dog.
He's such a cheapskate. He would go to work right in the mornings, and
Yeah.
the days that we didn't have anything going on, he would shut the freaking AC off,
Oh
man.
no.
Oh, you need to ask Ross about this. Yes. He would
Oh.
literally leave, and me and Briscoe would be dead asleep, and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna turn the AC off," and we'd wake up at whatever
Sweating.
it was, sweating, be like, "Bro, why'd you turn off the AC?" He's like, "I'm trying to save $1."
Oh man, that's how you get a roundhouse kick to the neck if
Yeah.
I'm your house guest. That is not cool.
Yes.
You and Briscoe are like normal, average-sized humans. That's not cool to do to somebody with a bit more carriage on him because you will not sleep very long.
Yeah. Now, mind you, we didn't turn the AC off on him, but he would turn it off on us.
Yeah, that's messed up, dude.
It is messed up.
He conveniently left that part out.
But he let us stay in his house. So in his,
Man,
in
he
his
could
apartment.
have said, "Hey guys, give me $10 a week and I'll let the AC stay on while I leave."
Yeah.
What a well now
I don't think we ever gave him rent money. Now that we say that.
you're not supposed to.
Hopefully we bought him some meals throughout the day.
Well, okay, you take it, man. Like you and I think we could be brothers because you go exactly where I'm going to go next. He said that when you were staying there, so it would be Ross in his bedroom. It was a 2-bedroom, 700 square foot apartment, which I don't know how you fit 2 bedrooms in 700 square feet. That's pretty
it's
impressive.
crazy. I can like see it right now. I'm closing my eyes and I'm envisioning it.
I don't know what I'm going to do with all these, but maybe we can fade in some old photos to kind of give people watching this like a little bit of an idea of what we're talking about. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but I kind of want to. But Ross says that it was a 700 square foot 2-bedroom. He's in his own bedroom.
Yep.
Briscoe's out on the couch.
Yep.
And then you and if Morgan was with you would be on an air mattress, I believe, on
Yes.
the ground.
So
In the other bedroom?
Morgan and I would be in the air mattress on the other side, or if Morgan wasn't there, me and Briscoe would share the air mattress. So
That's the second one of these that I've heard about 2 race car drivers sharing a bed together.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
the second guy this week who's told me about that.
Yep.
I just had Kyle Kirkwood, IndyCar driver for Andretti, talking about how he and Oliver Askew, I don't know if you know any of these names, but they would have to share a bed in Chris Wheeler's house. So that's just the dire straits you get into as a race car driver. But Ross did very quickly on the path of meals that you were going down there. Ross did say, man, it was pretty great when Morgan would stay.
Morgan would cook for us,
Because Morgan would cook. Is that the Pimp Palace? So Morgan would stay with you every once in a while. And when she did, Ross said we would get home-cooked meals inside that apartment, which was a rare treat, according to him.
Yeah, well, that makes me happy. Thank you, Ross.
What were
Thank you.
What were the meals?
It was pretty simple back then. So Morgan has become quite the cook now, but it was pretty simple back then.
A little bit of hamburger helper.
We did some grilled chicken. I remember we went and bought like this itty-bitty grill. Yeah.
Yeah. That's badass.
It was good.
Ross literally-
we were living the good life.
Isn't it always when it's simpler that you look back on it
Absolutely.
and you're
Yes.
like, man, I wish somebody would have told us these were the good old days.
Mhm.
Damn, that's sad. Yeah, we might have to fade some of these photos in while we're talking about it because I think people would get a kick out of seeing what it was like and everything. Ross did say, though, however, it was a very eye-opening experience for him, and this isn't about Ross Weiss, this is about you, and Chase is going to sit down with me and do one of these in a couple weeks, and I'm going to ask him the same question, so you answer however you want to. You don't have to worry that he's not going to get a chance to give his side of it or whatever, but I do have to ask you, Ross said it was very interesting in those days watching. Ross says he got to see 2 very different sides of the driver development coin in the sense of how you were going about it and how Chase Briscoe was going about it. And again, I think you know what I'm talking about, but for the average person who might not, the brief bones of that is you're on this development deal with Toyota, which, as I just learned from you a minute ago, wasn't a real development. You weren't really in a pipeline to say, you were just like, you were in a pipe. You didn't know where it was going.
Yes.
But Chase Briscoe, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, and this is in no way meant to make it sound like his path was way more, treacherous than yours. You all kind of had your careers in your hands. I'm not trying to frame it like anybody had it easier or harder than anybody. But Ross just said that it was very noticeable, the 2 different paths. You were in a good spot with Toyota. Briscoe didn't really have an OEM or a team behind him, and Briscoe would be out of the doors some days before Ross was even awake to go knock on teams' doors and try to get an ARCA deal. What do you remember about living with another race car driver in someone else's apartment while both of you are trying to get to the same destination but going 2 very different ways about it?
Yeah, well, clearly, like, I didn't know what was coming next, but I clearly had a great deal going on being with Toyota. And Chase is, if I remember right, whenever I turned the Roush deal down, he ended up pursuing that. Like, I told him about that, and he ended up pursuing that. And somehow, some way, shape, or form, he ended up connected to the Cunningham group.
Yep.
Um,
That was his ARCA ride, I believe.
yeah, and but before he drove there,
He worked there.
he was just like a
Shop guy.
just helped out at the shop. I
Yep.
don't even know what he did there, but yeah, he would just tell me, he'd be like, yeah, I don't know, I'm going to the shop. And I'm like, what do you do there? He's like, whatever they tell me to do. Sometimes I'm sweeping floors. I think sometimes he was driving the van to go pick up parts or.
What do you do there? Whatever they tell me.
Yeah. So yes, he very much had he was the squeaky wheel, right? He was the squeaky wheel that got the grease of like, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be around, and they gave him an opportunity, I think, and he obviously showed up and made it happen. So I do remember very vividly just like, what are you doing? I don't know, whatever they tell me to do. Like he would just show up and show face and be around,
But it got him a ride eventually.
And it got him a ride.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm really excited to do this with him because I want to hear more of those stories of how, like, and again, you had to do the same thing just at a little bit maybe younger age where it's like you got to just keep showing up. I think that's probably a metaphor for life. If you don't show up, you can't get the opportunity, right?
That's for sure.
And so Ross just said that it was like, he didn't say it was good or it was bad. He just said it was kind of interesting to sit there and watch two guys who are trying to get to the same place take very different paths to get there. Did that ever affect you and how you went about what you were doing, having to watch Chase do it the way he had to?
I mean, I would say that it made me, I guess, grateful, grateful and thankful for the opportunity that I had to be in great equipment, right? Like, and Chase, he ended up in really good equipment in the Cunningham car, but yeah, like I don't know, it was very different, right? Like whenever Chase was doing what he was doing, he wasn't making money, right? Like he was just literally showing up and being there. Where for me, in that stage of my life, like I had already been a professional race car driver for several years. Like whether it was driving midgets or driving sprint cars, and even like whenever I was driving or living with Ross, like I was a professional driver running dirt cars full time, sprint cars and midgets, and then doing these late model races too in North Carolina. So, I was a professional racer at that time where Chase was not yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just very, very different paths, and obviously it was, it was eye opening of what it could be and how blessed I was, right?
Yeah, did that make you ever like work harder or just like not drive differently, but just like in those moments of like reflecting, go like, man, I'm in a great place. I need to excel here. Not that you probably ever went into a moment where like, I can go easy, I can take it easy, but like, you kind of get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, certainly. It definitely, it weighed on me and certainly made me. I don't know. I'm sure it changed my judgment on things for sure.
It would scare me personally and go, man, if things don't keep going well for me, I could have to, walk the path that Chase is having to walk right now and pound on doors.
Yeah.
And sweep floors. And I do think a little bit of fear is a good thing.
Yeah, certainly.
Because if you don't know what to be scared of, you don't know what could come get you. So, and then the only thing about Ross is I guess there was a lot of cookie cakes.
We celebrated wins with cookie cakes, for sure.
That seems like a very popular decision.
Yeah, we celebrated wins with cookie cakes, and
wins just for anybody and everybody.
I think so.
So
right?
like
even Ross, whenever he would go, he would have a race trip or whatever. Whenever he'd come home, we'd have a cookie cake for him. So
that's a good way to live, I think.
Yeah, we were screwing with him. We made a cookie cake that said "Sad to see you home, Ross."
Man, were you guys making these or were they?
No, Great American. Okay. All day, every day, man. Great American cookies.
I think I'm gonna pick one of those up for dinner on the way home.
Delicious. If you can find one around here, let me know because they've all shut down.
Yeah, for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
well I'll just learn how to make one. There's YouTube for everything, dude. Other than Rick, other than Pete, other than Ross, kind of giving you a couch to crash on here and there. Are we leaving anybody out? Are we forgetting anybody?
Yeah, so there's a guy named Bond. Bond would be kind of the last pillar. He was head of the super late model deal at Calabush Motorsports, and he he was the next pillar after Pete. And Bond and Ross kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, Bond, he rode me hard, man, and he rode me hard and kind of, I don't know, like I think he would test me at times. Like, do you really want to do this? Is this really what you,
Oh, wow.
what are you fake? Are you real? Like,
Yeah.
how serious are you? Um,
Did you stay with him also?
I did not stay with him,
Okay.
no. So he was head of the KBM late model program.
Right.
So whenever I would be in North Carolina, I would stay with Ross. But Bond was he became another father figure for me. Kind of once I got out of dirt cars, like he didn't really know much about the dirt stuff, but yeah, he took me from late model racing and he became a mentor for me whenever I was in the truck series and then moving on to Xfinity and Cup. I still talk to Bond today, so he'd be another good one.
Well, and personally, I just want to let you know that even though this thing kind of has a heavy focus on like the couches and the people who let you stay on them, I like that you bring up Darren. I like that you bring up Uncle Will, and I like that you bring up Bond, because it's clearly not just about the physical couches and beds you sleep on. It's about the people. It's about the people. So I guess before I close here, and again, it's a big question, but with this focus of like people helping you and people helping all of us get to where we need to go in life, do you have a message? Do you have an opinion? Do you have a belief that you'd want people watching or listening to this to know about what your view is on relationships, about what your view is on how you treat people and how they can help you? Just, I know that's a really big kind of like heavy thing right there, but just if some kid's watching this who wants to go the same way you did and end up where you did, what would you tell them about the relationships you make through this deal?
Yeah, well, certainly the one thing that I found out is that you just never know what's going to come around and go around, and the sport, the industry is so tight, so small. It seems big, but it's really not that big, and you got to make sure that you treat everyone right. You can't be running around burning bridges, right? You got to be respectful of people, and then pick good mentors and trust in them, right? And you can't be bouncing back and forth from this person to that person and this person to that person. Like whenever you find someone that you trust and you want to look up to, like trust their guidance. And if it wasn't for Rick, and if it wasn't for Pete telling me to stay the Toyota path, right? Like it doesn't end up where I am today.
Right.
So you've got to believe in your people once you find the right ones, and you got to stick with them.
No doubt. This is just some last, very end of it here. These are just some rapid fires that I do with everybody, because nobody's story is the same. So I try to do something standardized here at the very end. And these are what you believe in today after your experience of being what I would call all of us become in this world of traveling and racing and staying with people. We are all professional house guests. You have stayed with the Ferkels. You have lived with Pete Willoughby. You have crashed on Ross Weiss's couch. So I think you are a professional house guest, whether you knew that or not. So these are questions about what you think. It's not really, how did you do it when you were first staying with Rick and Kathy? It's more just, what do you think you should do today because you've had the chance to learn and stay with so many people? So these are just some rapid fires. I'm probably going to forget one or two. So, maybe I'll have to call you and ad-lib it in later or something in post. But first one is an obvious one. You come to someone's house. You're going to stay the night. You're going to stay the week. You're going to come in for dinner, whatever. Shoes on or off when you come in the front door?
Always off.
Always off.
Always off.
Before you come in the front door?
Or no,
Once you first come in.
typically like you land on their landing mat and then you kick their shoes off.
Okay.
For sure.
So
absolutely.
don't
Even if they have their shoes on, I take my shoes off.
Very respectful.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do.
I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but
I did notice that. I saw the shoes down there, and I'm like, man, you're in a race shop here, and you kick your shoes off.
This is a nice carpet. Okay, this is a pretty nice carpet for a race shop. I just wanted you to know I wasn't tracking ice and slush up
I
there.
appreciate that.
Next one, I guess, would be I know I need to go back. You think I'd watch some of my own shows and go like, what do you always ask people? So the next one I can remember would be, say you're staying the night at someone's house. Pete Willoughby invites you back to Columbus, Indiana, because he just misses you and you want to spend the night. You get ready to go to bed. You're in bed. You've retired for the evening, and you realize, man, it is really warm in this bedroom, or man, it is freezing in this bedroom. I won't be able to sleep like this. What do you do?
Well, if I'm at Pete's house, I'm definitely just gonna go change it. But if I'm at someone else's house, no way.
Just go to the thermostat. If you're at Pete's.
If I'm at Pete's, yeah.
What do you do if it's someone that maybe you're not like father, son, brother?
No,
with?
then you can't.
What do you do though? What do you do?
You're screwed, man. It's part of it.
Dude, I like this. I've gotten a lot of different answers. I've gotten, well, I'm gonna, hopefully if it's not been too long, I'll text the host and say, hey, are you still up? Can we do something? Can we go up a few degrees? Can we go down? A really obvious one that never hit me was, I'm going to start looking for a fan. I'm going to start looking for the vent. I'm going to start looking for extra blankets. I'm going to be
Well,
resourceful.
certainly you're gonna. I mean, if it's hot, you're gonna find a fan, but never touching the thermostat unless you're at Pete's house. Like Pete's my dad, so I'm gonna change that thing.
That's very respectful of you. I've interviewed some people where they're like, I'm going to find that thermostat, and if it's not behind a lock, or if it's not some like crazy, thermostat / alarm system, I'm just going to start pressing buttons on it till it cools down.
Yeah, I do the same thing at my sister's house every time I go there, which she's my family. So, but anytime I go to my sister's house, they keep it whatever, and I'm adjusting it.
Or if you're going to Ross Weiss's house, you're going to turn off the AC and then leave. While
I
he's
should
sleeping.
afterwards. Yeah, when we wake up.
I think you need to text him the night and be like, hey, can I come over and spend the night? And just no other info, and then just be like, by the way, where's your thermostat at?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that would be fair play, certainly. This one, and I'm guilty of it. I'm staying with a buddy. I just got to his place last night, and we're how old are you right now?
I'm 31.
Okay, I'm 32, so I think it's fair to say similar in age. And like I've interviewed Levi Jones, and I've interviewed a few guys that didn't grow up in the technological age that we are, so they don't really get this question, but you certainly will. Everybody's TV today is a smart TV. Every remote you hold can go to YouTube, can go to all these websites, can pull up lots of different. It's not just your basic network cable anymore. So when you go over to someone's house, when you're a guest, when you're there for the week, you're crashing, whatever, right? And you come in the living room and they're watching something. How do you play that? Do you go, oh yeah, I'll watch Dancing with the Stars with you guys, or the Great Cake Bake Off, or whatever? Or do you fall into the rude probably trap that I set, which is normally like, hey, let me show you this Christopher Bell highlight reel on YouTube really quick, and then you just kind of, and also let me phrase it. It's not. I never set this up as like, do you just walk in and take the remote and go, But if everyone's sitting around, we're talking,
and like the TV's not being used,
yeah,
or
it's on, but nobody's like glued to it.
Right.
It's not some game.
Yeah, it's just background noise.
Yeah. Do you ever grab the remote and go, hey, let me show you something really cool here? Do you ever take the remote and kind of take over, or ask to take the remote?
I actually don't. I kind of let the host or whoever's house it is do that. So
okay, yeah.
Now I will say, like if we go over to Morgan's parents' house or something, like I'll grab the remote. But once again, if it's not someone that I know, I'm not going to.
Well, you're staying for the week, so I mean, you would know them, but like also
probably not.
I asked that to Kyle Kirkwood, and he's like, no, I'm not just going to change the channel while they're watching it. I don't mean it like that. I mean it like nobody's really glued to it. Everybody's just talking. I always inevitably walk in and go, hey, you should watch this Dirt Season 2 A Year with High Limit promo. And then I put that on, and then we're watching Chili Bowl loud pedal videos till 2 a.m, like last night. How do you say thank you to someone who's put you up for a week or a summer or a year with preference to like food? Do you take them out to dinner? Do you say, hey, let me order a bunch of food? Well, I'm gonna take care of dinner tonight. Do you make the mistake I make often and say, I'm going to cook you guys dinner in your house tonight? Because that never goes well.
that sounds bad. I would say I'm definitely a go out to dinner type person.
And you just say, hey, right off the bat.
Yeah, unless we have like if we have plans to like bring in food like or something like that, then you can offer to pay for it. But certainly not cooking in their house. That's weird. That's weird, Tony.
Yeah, I did it, and it was a bad idea.
That's weird.
Yeah, they moved. They actually ended up moving, and I think it's probably because of the number I did on the kitchen. So.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't advise it. It was a bad idea on my part. Like I said, I think there's more of these, but I always forget them when I've got someone right in front of me. So later, I'll text you and we'll superimpose them on the screen or something. But man, I really appreciate it. It's cool to hear about the people who helped you and the near misses, I would say, or just the near scrapes.
Plenty of them.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
plenty of them.
Dude, it's crazy how it all works out. I appreciate you talking and kind of sharing them with me. Are you going to give someone a couch to sleep on when they come knocking?
I hope so.
Have you done it? So. Have you done anything like that yet to this point?
Well, I had Caden Brown come and live with me for a while.
That counts.
Yeah, I had Caden Brown come and live with me. But yeah, I mean, we've had several one-offs come and stay at the house whenever they're in Charlotte or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Caden would be the one that really stayed with me.
Yeah. Well, I bet based on the experiences you've had, I'm sure that you'll be that guy that down the road, you will continue to help people the way that you've been helped. And I don't know, hopefully if this thing ever, lives, maybe we can revisit it in 10 years or something and see who you've helped. And
that would be incredible.
Well,
that would be incredible.
All right. Start buying lots of couches.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool, man. Thanks a bunch for hanging out. And I can't wait to get this up. And I think people will learn a lot about you, but I think they'll learn a lot about like maybe the right way to go about things because you've explained that pretty in depth. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for being on the couch.